Sorry about that, everyone. My stream deck continues to be a bit weird. Owing to an update that they shoved out recently. Anyways... Did you guys get the intro, or should I play that again? I think it did everything except actually changing the scene in XSplit, so... Yay. Yay for that. Anyways. Let's fix that, shall we? Hello everybody, welcome back as ever to Building Blocks, where we program Minecraft mods live on camera, and frequently things go wrong, and I have spent the last week working on a lot that is not really... It's not the kind of stuff that I code that I can just show you the consequences of. I can just sort of explain them, so apologies if this is a bit dry, but here we are, starting off in the renderer for entity spell. Entity spell is the entity or creature mob, however you want to describe it in more relatable terms, that basically performs all of the magical effects in various oddities. Or it used to be. Now, entity spell in fact holds an ID number, which is a reference to a spell inside of a much larger saved data kind of area, called World Saved Data Spells, and that contains every single active spell in the entire specific world. It is also then responsible for actually updating all of those spells, and also in turn for causing them to render and do everything. So Entity Spell actually is largely just a holdover at the moment. And you might wonder exactly why the hell I decided to do this, considering it's taken me most of a week. The first part is that it basically removes any kind of entity-based drag from the entire system. So we no longer have to have the entity spell in a loaded chunk for the spell to work. It will actually work interdimensionally in most cases. We no longer have to worry about casting too many spells and having too many active at once by then causing lag because of so many entities, because there may not even be any entities at all. The second part, well, the third part, I guess, the third major part, is that it allows us to keep a record of every single spell in the entire specific world, and then take from that only specific spells. So we can identify all of the spells that a given player has cast and is in control of, or is even being affected by. Haha. We could not have done that before we basically tore the spell pod out of Entity Spell. So, yeah, that's... I had to tear it all out into a subclass called Spell Data down here, which basically has all of the values that Entity Spell used to use in order to actually make all of these things going, and it then also does the updating and everything, and that's the main, like, Spell Data is basically an active spell. I tore all that out, and then that naturally broke everything, because previously, every single spell expected that you'd give it an entity. So I had to go through about 50 different spells, because that's about how many we have right now, to update them to use spell data instead, as well as be given a world and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, once I actually got the spells working, rendering was completely broken. So you wouldn't see any of the particles or the special rendering effects that we have for our spells, so they were basically invisible. The rendering has been the most recent thing I've been working on. There are other things to work on. Surprisingly, I have not managed to break the server so far in working on graphics, because Lord knows graphics is my Achilles heel by a long ways. But... yes, good. It hasn't crashed, so that's grand. Glory. Great, I can show off the next stuff then. Oh, yeah. So yeah, the end result of this is basically imperceptible to anyone on the user end. This is entirely a back-end thing, but it means that spells are more stable. It means that spells will only ever last as long as they say they'll last, not however long they'll last plus however long they're in an unloaded chunk. And it means that we can have much tighter control of things, which then means that we can get the active spells screen going inside of your inventory and allow you to actually edit or dismiss different spells. Which also then means we'll be able to actually tell how many spells that are concentration based that you have going, so we can determine whether you can cast another. Or more specifically, if we should get rid of the last one that you cast. I don't know if this scene transition's going to work, but let's find out. Yes, it does. Hooray. Right. So, here we have the very classic, and quite conveniently for this demonstration, highly visual magic circle against evil, this particular one. We have the ring that is rotating, that is a special rendering effect. We have the looping going around, which is also based on particles. So these are two separate client-side things, bearing in mind that because spells are now server-side, the server has to tell you all of the spells, which also means if there's a bunch of them on the server, you only get the ones within, like, 16 blocks of you. And all of that is now completely client-side. So this is basically the only, like, there could be 2,000 different spells in, like, a few hundred chunks away or something that are loaded or whatnot and doing their stuff. But I would never know because my client only knows about the ones in my vicinity or that I own or are affecting me, that kind of thing. And you'll note that there is no scroll hovering in the middle here. That is because this no longer uses an entity. If I hit F3 and B, you'll see there's no entity bounding box in the middle of that. That's because that is not actually an entity anymore. That's not actually anything anymore. It's just a position where we determine that there is a thing. And I need to get the name to show up when you actually hover over this, so that you know what your spell is. Bonus thing, actually, because we've gone to spell data over old school just spell, we can give these custom names. So if you have like 5 different magic circles, you can give them distinct names, and then when you view them in your active spells screen, you can like you know exactly which one you're modifying or turning off, that sort of thing. So, yay! It's a much more powerful and versatile system than what we previously had, in short. So, yeah. But it just takes so much to get running. But yeah, by default, no spells actually create spell entities anymore. It's mostly just a holdover just in case something breaks in the next beta. But once I get this working, and once I get the active spell screen working, we can shove out the next beta, which should be in time, surprisingly enough, for 100,000 downloads on various oddities. In fact, we might have just crossed that. Come to think of that, we might have crossed that already. Oh, thank you for those bits, Firefly. Yes, total downloads. Hang on, let me go back to code view here. Total downloads for various oddities, 1,015. Well, 100,015. Boy, 1,000 was a long while ago. But yeah. So, hooray! Hooray for that! This is... Admittedly, I don't have a lot of, I don't have a lot of released mods, but that is... Hoi! I am astonished that people like myself that much, but... I try to make cool stuff, so I guess that makes some degree of sense. Okay. How did we do rendering a label inside of render spell? Because pretty much I want all the rendering that we did for render spell to be done for each different spell data in the world that our client is aware of anyways, and we want to make sure that it looks alike because they should be basically the same thing. Spell data is basically the useful parts of entity spell, so how do we render the name? Texas is getting its 5 minutes of cold? Ooh. I mean, isn't Texas mostly desert? Let's get this over there. So if GUI is enabled, which is say we're not in F1, and the spell is null, naturally, and is the spell targeted? Yes. Okay. If the spell was null, then we would already be jumping past it anyways. Texas is mostly desert, but it's icy for some reason. You understand that... Okay, how do I put this? Water is a heat sink. Or in many ways it can be described as a heat battery. So deserts absent of the sun are frequently freezing cold. It's a paradox, you wouldn't necessarily think of it, but yeah, deserts are actually really cold. Okay, so we check as well, we need to check if we shouldn't render the name at all. So, should we show it? Can we show it? And is this the right one to show? Okay. And then we do the render name, which is half the stuff we've already checked. Is it Antarctica that's a giant desert? Yes, Antarctica is a giant desert. I'm well aware of this. Now we have to call render living label here, which is a mild pain in the neck because that is not a thing we have access to from this class, which is just a generic class. It's an event handler class, but it's not really much. Let's see. So get display name, part of our spell data class, actually hooks into a custom name. I do plan for you to be able to rename distinct spells inside of your active spells thing. There are limits. Not every spell that is displayed in your active spell screen will be a spell that you can control. It includes spells that are affecting you, which means that you can check to see if you've been cursed, for instance. But also you can check what kind of spells have been cast on you for, like, buff purposes. Okay, render living label is relatively straightforward. It's just checking max distance, which is fine. We shouldn't have to worry about max distance there because we shouldn't ever be 64 blocks away. In fact, more importantly, is spell targeted only goes to 64 blocks away. It's specifically told to do that. So that should be fine. Well, good luck, Shinx. Okay, so what values does draw nameplate need? Viewer pitch, is third person, is sneaking, font renderer, the string itself, the XYZ of where to show it, vertical shift view. Oh boy, there's a lot there. Okay. We'll assume, by sheer virtue of the fact that we already we already know how far away we could be, we could see something. We'll assume that all of this is fine. And let's see, we definitely can't be sneaking. Because we're spell data and also entity spell, we don't sneak. Height, we are basically keeping the same. I don't think we need to care about whether you've named a spell Dead Mouse. I'm not sure, what is that? That's the I value, was it? Yeah. The I value is referring to I think that's vertical shift. So I guess it's because Dead Mouse, douche that he be, has special rendering because he was friends with somebody awful back in the day. Let's see, does the manager... I'm gonna take a wild guess and say the manager has a more direct value for that. For getting the font renderer. Yeah. It's just literally get font renderer. I don't even know why it uses a pass-through there. It already has access to the render manager. Okay. We don't have to give it an entity, so that should mean that works. Should. We'll see in a hot second if that actually works. It may just cause everything to explode. Non-zero amount of possibility there. I look really cozy today? Why, thank you. I did actually have my hair done today, so I am back to full blonde again. Well, technically speaking, I was always full blonde, but now I'm the full. Now I'm the same color of blonde all the way around. Get my roots steered. I was about to flip my ponytail on over so you could see that, but it's not. Then I realized mid-flip that actually my roots are nowhere near my ponytail, so you would not see any difference. But okay. We are looking for a name. Now, we're not the caster of this one, so let's just break that. Okay. There we go. Perfect. So if we were to change the spell data to give it a custom name, then that would display here instead of what we currently see. Hurrah! Okay. I do need to make some caveats, I think. Which, like, rendering the name when it's right here is not dreadfully useful to us. Like, it's really more pain than anything else. I'm not sure if I should display this circle, like, all of the time, either. Like, like the main spell visuals, the particles of the circle should be fine. But okay. Less than like 20 minutes in and we're already making very good progress. No errors there that I can see. Let's see, our checks for whether you can see a given spell's name are if you are the caster, or you have Arcane Sight. I'm actually going to put in another one there of player.isCreative. So creative mode players can always see it. Yeah, we probably want to maybe add a minimum distance away to in order to actually make sure you do that. Let's see, and player. Nope, we don't have a distance to value here just yet, do we? Okay. We do have a player in here though. So, you can read the name if you are within your reach distance to the spell, and distance to is greater than, we'll say, one block. So if it's any closer to that, shouldn't have to worry about it. And we only want to draw the circle for the owner, or whoever happens to have, what's the phrase? Whoever happens to have the sight amplifier. Like, those are our general things right there, really. So I guess I should call this yeah. Words. words that do the thing to communicate the stuff. I guess I should just call this should show spell to player as opposed to should show spell name. I think my brain just had a moment. Oh, right, yes, that's why these are distinct. Now I know. Now I remember. It's because this one checks for if you're actively looking at a given spell, whereas this one's just, are you in its vicinity? So many brain words, but only one set of words can come out. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So if you're creative, you're the owner, or you have a sufficient tier of Arcane Sight status effect, then you can see the circle, and you'll probably, but not guaranteed, be able to see the name. Correct. Okay. Is there another spell I could use? I could use some other wall spells, there's an idea. So then the next thing is to formalize what happens when you click the edit and dismiss buttons, and if there are even such buttons. Well, actually no, the next thing we need to do is create a screen where we can see a list of spells. Which fortunately is very similar to the work we've already done for showing AI controls inside of mobs. So, that's fine. Does this not... No, we didn't add... Or... Player is creative. There we go. Okay, let's get... Force Cage. Why not? Let's get Force Cage out. We're creative mode, so we don't care that we don't have the, required items for casting this spell, which is 30 diamonds. Yeah. Which in the grand scheme of modded isn't honestly very expensive, but... Oh yeah, in the course of doing that huge rework from entity spell to spell data, I identified a problem with this right here. Actually, let me plunk this a bit easier for you guys to see. Yeah, I identified a problem with the way duration was reading out. So, it would give all manner of very low, very weird numbers. Now it actually says how long it will last. So, in this case, 40 hours. That, by the way, is real time. That's not in-game. So, 40 hours is not like 40 minutes. Less than 40 minutes, in fact, because that'd be like 2 days. Okay, Force Cage. There we go. So that is the root of the Force Cage spell. Very nice. I suppose if you renamed your scroll, should we give that this? Scrolls are generally single use. I guess if you rename your scroll, then maybe it should show that, but... I do need to come up with a better way to toggle whether it's an inverted spell or not on stuff, but for right now it's fine. But yeah, so right now, because there is... Firstly, because Entity Spell no longer does that, but secondly, because there's nothing here, we can't actually interact with this to dismiss it. There is currently no means by which to get rid of this force cage, except to just wait out the 40 hours on it. But that is the next thing I need to do, which is that Dispel currently doesn't work. So we need to fix that. Because Dispel has an AoE effect. And I need to find out if it actually does anything. Theoretically, could you trap somebody in there in a server and leave? Yes. But 40 hours later of, like, server uptime, it'll go away. So, yeah. Also, Force is mostly indestructible, but it's not completely indestructible. You can use the Disintegrate spell at it. But they'd be trapped. I mean, unless they could teleport out. Unlike Magic Circle, Force Cage doesn't prevent you from leaving so much as it does so by physical barrier. If you teleport, for instance, if you have an Ender Pearl on you, you can get out of it. There is an alternate version of it that's like a solid cube that you can't Ender Pearl out, but you can still teleport. So, there's always options. Okay, let's see if Dispel can actually identify the presence, I feel the presence, of that Force Cage. Because there's not much point having a Dispel magic if it doesn't dispel magic. Oh yes, bonus, because of the rework, and because of the code that we needed to get for the active spell screen, spells now have a thing that asks if they are affecting a specific entity, a given entity. So consequently, when you hit a entity with the targeted version of Dispel Magic, which is the primary version of it, you can dispel every single spell affecting them. Or your attempt to be more specific. And that means that there is a weird interaction that happens with summon spells, because summon spells count as affecting both the creature or object or whatever that they've summoned and the caster. So if you target the caster with a Dispel Magic, the summoned creature can go away. Similarly, if you cast a summon spell that summons more than one mob, and is therefore affecting all of them, and you cast Dispel Magic on one of those mobs, you can dispel the summon spell and get rid of all of them. I don't know if that's intended in, like, regular D&D. I don't know if, generally speaking, a summon monster 4 or whatever is counted as actually, like... I don't know if you could cast a Dispel Magic at a summoned Minotaur or something, and all of the summoned Minotaurs go away, but it's a nice interaction that I think I'm keeping. So anyways, we want to get out Dispel Magic, we want to set it to AoE. I think I have Dispel Magic, yes I do, good that you are. We want to set this to Alt Fire. And stand right up here, and see if it recognizes that's there. Attempting to dispel Force Cage. Grand. Good starts. Also, I put print as a print line, but anyways, it was there, it just failed. Probably because this is a much lower spell. So let's see. You can dispel your own spells, by the way, but because we had to reboot the game, I'm no longer the owner of that spell. Okay. So, get level lower than 6 and 10, always 20, quest level, yes, good, okay. I believe we have Greater Dispel Magic. Living Terrain, Arcane Sight, Teleport, Dispel Magic, there you are. So let's set that to the alt fire and see what we get. Well, we got rid of it, but I notice a problem. There's no force cage spell, but there's also still a force cage. So now it's permanent. So okay, let me just tidy this up. What if I turn up the rendering distance on that? It's currently set to 16 blocks, so any further than 16 and you can't see it. Which, I feel like that might be a bit too small. Currently, we just set them dead, which is supposed to call their do effect cancel. But evidently, ain't. So let's put a detail in here. So yeah, because we want these to be actually functioning like they've been cancelled when you dismiss them as well. So that should help. And then if active time is lower than duration, which is to say if it's been stopped prematurely. These are D&D spells? Yeah, exactly. Pretty much everything, more or less, in Various Oddities is drawn from D&D. 3.5, to be exact, because, well, the one I'm most familiar with. World time is casting time is active time. Yes, good. Duration is... or duration is lower than 0. Okay, so let's say and? No, that's impossible. Let's see. Attempting to end spell. Spell dot simple name. I should just display name. Why not? Here we can do that. Okay, that'll give us a bit more information about where something may or may not be going wrong. Yeah, there's, I think, 3 spells currently in Various Oddities that are not drawn from Dungeons and Dragons. There's also one major artifact in Various Oddities that's not from Dungeons and Dragons. The spells are the Living Terrain family, Lesser, Normal, and Greater, which are chunk loading spells. And the artifact is this. Is it the Still Beating Hearts? I think I've mildly forgotten its own name. But basically that serves as a, I guess basically a relay point. You can feed it potions and it will apply them to you. You can also put it within the range of a beacon. Oh well, the Disembodied Heart. You can put it into the range of a beacon and it will actually also apply the effects of the beacon to you. Curious on how you do vocal spells such as Suggestion. Suggestion is 3.5. Mind control spells in general currently aren't included because requires a lot of AI tinkery and also fundamentally pretty worthless against players. Like, you can't cast Suggestion or like Dominate of any kind onto a player and have it do anything. Mostly because of the architecture of how Minecraft is built to work, so it's a nuisance. It is a nuisance indeed. Okay. So up you go, and this is my spell currently, so now I am actually able to dispel this personally. Okay, attempting to end spell Force Cage. Let me just bring that up for you guys. I'm attempting to end spell Force Cage, cancelling Force Cage. Nothing happened. So, do effect cancel was called, but there was evidently no points inside of the storage. At a guess. So something down here is hacked. Yeah, the architecture of Minecraft differs from a lot of games. In a lot of games, you have the entity, which could be, say, the goblin that's like standing inside of a dungeon, and then they have what's called a controller, which is essentially the brains. It's the personality, it's the priorities, the goals, objectives, the AI, whatnot, of the goblin. And these are separate objects. The goblin has an internal value of the controller, but the controller can also be an actual human being. So they're inputting controls and tells the goblin to turn left, to walk forward, to bash itself into a wall, whatnot. And you can just swap out those controllers with whatever you like at any point in a game. Most people don't for obvious reasons, but you can. And it changes what the goblin does. Minecraft doesn't have that. The AI of every single entity is built in to that entity. That entity is only that AI, and that AI is only that entity. So, to do mind control, what would be really easy would be to just swap out the player controller of a player entity with an AI for a temporary period and such, and then swap them back afterwards. But because we don't have that kind of system inside of Minecraft, we can't do that, which is really irritating. Okay, so let's get a printout of whatever our points are when that happens, because clearly we've got something weird going on. And let's also print out the spell data's storage entirely. Really interesting to pull your brain about this stuff. Oh. Well, that's one of the fun parts of that in the stream, is I get to explain things. And very frequently when it comes to Minecraft code, I get to yell about things as well. Don't get me started on the horse. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's a way to create an anti-magic field that isn't centered on yourself. So, in that fashion, you wouldn't be able to put that inside of a force cage and use that to prevent somebody from leaving. But certainly there are ways to ensure that people have substantial difficulty in getting out of them. There are similarly some other... Oh, I see. Okay. I was like, hang on. That's not the screen I'm looking at. Then I realized I didn't close the last one either. I understand modding, so it's nice to having someone give it a simple explanation with enthusiasm. Well, welcome to my streams. Okay, I need to get rid of this again. Because there's no spell attached to it, so there's nothing I can ostensibly get rid of to get rid of it. Okay, once more we're feeling. Okay, so here is our thing, and just gonna reduce scale my view of this. And see what we get. Okay. I did not ask for a size instead of a thing, but we have data. Okay. Which is cancelling force cage with evidently quite a lot of points. So let me teleport to one of these. Negative 1200, 3428 is indeed inside of that. So what happened? Why did our force cage fail to do that? I think I can probably guess. Which is that I'll bet there's a do effect cancel here. That doesn't have all the values it's supposed to have. Although actually we get that much, so... Get segment at... Gets the entity spell. What? Wait, has Force Cage always been broken? Let's see, this is based on spell wall, so anything it doesn't override. Kill wall at position. Aha! Entity source entity. There we are. It's not overriding it because it's not it hasn't been updated yet to know what it is. That's why that's broken. Okay. Where's kill wall? World and block position. That's what you need. So that should now hopefully mean that dispelling the wall actually dispels the cage. Not right now though, because we had to reboot it, but still. Yeah, AI is my major wheelhouse. I know a fair bit about other stuff, but AI is the major thing I'm known for. It's my pet project. It's my my special interest, I believe is the phrase. But yeah, it'd be magnificent if Minecraft did implement a proper controller system. Because when you have a controller system like that, you can have your entities with default kind of controller, but then you can swap it out for other things at any point in time. Which would mean you could turn any given entity, for instance, into a pet, or into a trader. You could turn any given entity temporarily into an ally. You could turn your player into any entity. Be like the morph mod, but built in. It'd be wonderful. So many game possibilities like that, but unfortunately, oddities, as a special example, have close to a controller system. Which is to say, we have a list of controllers. We find the most valid one, the most prioritized one that works for this context. And we apply that. An entity controller, in this case, is just a list of AI tasks. We don't have an equivalent for a player, but yeah, so we have all of this stuff, and that basically just like whenever the certain conditions are met, we just lift out a whole ton of bunch of AI behaviors and dump in the right one until those conditions don't meet anymore, and then we can stop and then which makes it really easy to make different forms of kobold and different forms of goblin, for instance. So we've got like the warg tamer of goblins as well. We've got the shaman. We've also got the regular dude inside of that. I know we even have ones for whether they're children or not, and those all swap out depending upon MBT data for the most part. So we can just change how it behaves wild scale by that. There's also ones for the archfey, which basically unplugs most of their passive, just sort of like general wandering around kind of behaviors as soon as they have an attack target. Custom NPCs and morph mods smushed into one thing, hopefully more stable than that would suggest. Those things do not play nicely. With anything, for that matter, actually. Okay. So we identified a problem with walls. Let's see if we fixed those problems with walls. Oh right, yeah. Blip. So fill that with air once again, hopefully for the last time. Let's make this the inverted one. So yeah, there's the solid one. It's much smaller, so you need to be really on your mark if you're trying to catch somebody with this, or maybe they're AFK, but... Then we take our Dispel Magic, and... Beautiful! Okay, let's get a Wall of Fire inside of here as well. Yeah, good. Go with the blocking. And evidently something went wrong. Okay, what happened there? Have I accidentally got this set to... Let's find out. Nope, there's a definite problem here. Okay. What's wrong with this spell? What, the snow stacks are? Oh, the snow blocks? Oh, yeah. It's because when I was trying to get the graphics working, I was using Polar Ray as a test case. And if you hit something with Polar Ray, it leaves ice and snow behind. Drinking. But thank you. Okay. So what is the problem, then, with our Wall of Fire? Cancelling Wall of Fire with 41 points. Interesting. So there was something wrong with Wall of Fire, despite the fact that it clearly created points, because there's 41 listed here. So what caused you to not show up? That's the question for me. Because that would suggest you weren't able to make anything. Okay, well we don't need that part so much right now. Let's check Wall of Fire. Let's see, wall segment is fine. Yep, that looks good as well. Yes. So it's something to do with spell wall then. Let's see, to effect, ticks active less than 1, to effect start, yes. Ticks active equals to as long as it should be, then to effect cancel, yep, straightforward. So, to effect start, we get all our things, we check the blocks, yes. I'm not seeing anything here that, it might just be that it doesn't, that it's overriding something that's not there anymore. I am seeing owner in here, which suggests to me that it might well be doing that. If it's referencing an entity, it's probably wrong. Okay, so create wall segment. Where are you down here? Spawn segment, creates, which apparently does call for an owner. Interesting. Yep. Apparently references the caster. Shane Moore got a nice costume. Wow. Perfect for trick-or-treating, or for handing out tricks and treats, I guess. Mostly treats, one hopes. Okay, so was there a Hang on, get duration. That's probably wrong. At this point, because spell data is able to hold... The spell data holds cast level. One over additional, like... There's so many tiny details of this overhaul that have cropped up that are great and good and should be there, but are hard to necessarily remember in the heat of a moment. But spell data, when you cast a spell data makes note of your caster level. So yeah, right there. If your caster level then changes later, spells that you cast before your caster level changed still have the cast level they had when you had when they were cast. So, if at some point I actually implement a leveling up system, you can have a spell that you cast at like the start of your playthrough level up like 15 times, and that thing will still be a level 1 spell, like level 1 cast level, which means duration doesn't increase, which was a thing that happened before because the entity spell would just find the owner, get their cast level at every moment, and use that as a reference of whether it should despawn yet. Okay, so what calls set dead in here, I guess, is a decent checker for us. So if it's instantaneous, then it dies. Is this set to be instantaneous? I'm guessing not, because we've got to get duration right there. And I don't see a duration in here. I will, however, update this. Apologies for talking so much. No, don't worry about it. If talking too much was a crime, then I should be the first person out. A lot of people like to lurk as well, so it's fine. Okay, so we need to update create wall segment to actually include a caster level and whatnots, or just to spell data, really. Can't believe you're going to jail for talking crimes. That is called censorship. Oh, I'm gonna cause so many errors just trying to fix this one thing. Oh, and I've run right over my break. Okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes, everybody. See you then. And welcome back, everybody. So just before we left off there, we'd identified a problem with some of our wall spells, which tied into ending spells, which is an important thing to get right, because you don't want parts of magical effects just sort of lying around a lot of the time. If something gets dispelled or dismissed, then you want it to go completely away. You want it to be tidy in its going awayness. And we were seeing some problems with that. So our problem right now is that we don't appear to be able to get our Wall of Fire going. We just got Force Cage to work properly, and Force Cage is an extension of the Wall family of spells. So theoretically, if there's a problem with Force Cage, there's probably a problem with all those. But I have gone through, added the spell data to everything. So Fingers crossed this should work. It might have just been that I was standing on a thing of ice, but better safe than sorry, I guess. There's probably going to be more than a few bugs. Calling it right now. That's why this will be a beta release when it's working and such. Because doing a massive overhaul like this means breaking basically everything. That's just sort of to be expected. Oh, there we go. Okay. And if I tell it to go bye-bye? It go bye-bye. Okay, very good. That also, I guess, showing off much similar the kind of effect of dispelling a summon monster spell. Okay, so it was probably just that it couldn't find an area to actually plonk the fire when it was here. At a guess, then. Okay. Phew. Now here's the thing I don't understand is why... There we go. Must have just rolled badly. Believe it or not, you wouldn't expect it, but dice rolling is actually built in here. Popular stream, the first thing you see is fire line. Oh yeah. I can do fire ring if you like. Lump. So yep, there we have a burning ring of fire. And more likely positioning. There we go. Fun fact, a lot of the circles that you can just plonk wherever are specifically coded so that they start at the furthest point from you. So if you target somebody that's running away, the first thing that gets covered in, like, the wall effect is the part they're running towards. And then it just loops around them. I could have it do the whole thing at once, but that would be substantially laggier, especially with the block-based walls, would need to place every single block. So, yeah. But okay, right. Now playing Hot Springs. Yeah, that's accurate. Thank you, Pretzel, for your continually amusingly apt song choices. Okay. So now, we need to add ourselves a screen, and on that screen we need a list of all the spells that we own, and which are affecting us. And ideally we need to be able to distinguish those, but we'll start with just getting a list of them. What's the outstanding thing here I have? Oh yes, Magic Disc, because Flying is working on a better way to display items inside of inside the floating disc. But she has not gotten back to me just yet with the code for it. Should this technically be under the spell screen? I guess, but for right now we'll plunk it here. GUI, active spells. So let's see, what are we going to need for this? Do we want to have windows for this? Like, do we want to just have it be everything all together, or do we want it to be like delineated by here is a thing that you own and here is things that are affecting you, that kind of thing? Like, should it be alphabetical and all in one big lump, that sort of thing? Like, how do we want to organize this? We could be evil, like, the most evil way I could think would be everything in one lump, except that it's sorted by whether or not you control it. Meaning, you see, like, your spells, and then if you scroll right down to the bottom, then you might see the curse that's been affecting you for 2 weeks. Like, so, just so many options. For right now, let's just get ourselves a list. see, where's the last thing I worked on? Configure mob, there you are. So the way that we did this for configure mob settings is that there's a sub-screen, essentially, and that screen replicates its stuff over and over to fill an entire screen with just the same repeating thing, entries and lists and such. We're not doing that right now, so it's fine. We are probably going to want a player just so we actually know what to put inside of that list. Jigsaw puzzlets? I don't quite follow. Okay, from that we can get ourselves a list of all of the spells as they are there. Because if you click to edit something, then it should just bring up a different window for the most part. A spell window. Init GUI is fine for the moment. Mouse input, we don't need to worry about that. Draw screen. That's what we want. The main thing, your two major options with any given spell inside of this screen are dismiss it if you control it and it is dismissible, and edit it if you control it and it has things to edit. One time, Katie cursed two of the forbidden streamers that were almost invisible, morphed into a small wizard that was not visible while the forbidden streamers almost drowned. I did that with Tyser way back when. Okay, so list spell data. Spells affecting equals. So affecting or owned by is the major thing that we want, which is separate to the ones that get sent to you. You get sent, the server sends to every individual player all of the spells they own, all of the spells that are affecting them, and all spells within a 16 block radius, which allows us to do visuals for them all. Okay, so let's call that spells list, why not? Which is distinct from the spell list, which is a different thing. Remember my voodoo doll machine? Yep. That wasn't a voodoo doll machine. That was a death protection puppet system, I believe. Off to bed? Okay. Nights, guys. Is that... Oh, that's a map. Okay, right. Because that is by dimension. And we use that dimension, okay. We could save all of the spells in a world by world by world basis, which meaning dimensions. So you have a list, a separate world save data spells for the Never, to the End, to the Overworld. Instead, we have them all in one thing, which is per entire world save. That's every single dimension in one thing. The theoretical advantage to doing it in a dimension by dimension system would be that we'd know all of the spells in a given dimension, we wouldn't need to worry about everything else. But because players need to know what spells are affecting them at all times, and they need to know what spells they own and can therefore dismiss or do whatnot to at every given moment, we actually need to have access to all of them at once. So it's just easiest to have them in a world save version, a global, as it were. Okay, what am I missing here? Cannot convert from map integer, list of spell data, of course, yes. I guess we call this spells map, then. Okay. So now we need to convert that to a spells list. So then for int dimension, actually we can just do it from keys, can't we? Yeah. For list of spell data spells in spells map dot values. So spells dot remove all from everything that's remove anything in spells list that is also in the spells, and then spells list adds whatever is left of spells, which should mean that we get everything in that list without any duplicates. Quick and dirty, but it works. Spell data does have individual IDs. That's how the entity spell knows what it's connected to. But going through all those things to make sure there's no duplicates would be heavy. So we're just going to do it that easy way. For the most part. Okay. So then, for spell data spell in our spells list, we want to write on the screen its name. Just for the time being, at the very least. How do we turn that value? Evidently it's just 176 and 166, so I'm just gonna clone these values up top. It's because this isn't a container, so. Use Sharpie, write on the screen with pen, use Sharpie. No! Absolutely not. Do you know how much it would cost me to replace these monitors? Heard it's easy to remove. Sharpie. I've been to conventions. I ain't falling for that. Okay. So now we've gotten this. Now we need a button to open this. So if we go to our client bus, we have something very similar to that for opening up your CR screen and such. If I can find it. GUI handler, there you are. Bus GUI, there you are. I'm in the wrong place, that's why. Permanent markers means they're permanently being removed. Sure. Sure. Okay, so we need to check if there are any owned or active spells later on. For the time being, we're not going to care. So just buttons, add button spells equals. We're probably going to need an image for this. I've been trying to keep the inventory buttons like very succinct, so just by using an image to identify what they are. Buttons dot size width over 2 minus Render spells? Expos, I guess? I've also made those buttons configurable so that you can move them wherever you need them to be. So if you, no matter what you've got going on in your clients and your mod pack and whatnot, you should be able to keep those buttons where you want them. I call it spell or spells? Spells. Good. Okay. Let's see. 85 and 65, let's say 105? Or 45? Let's go with 45 as our initial value. We should put them in a nice little row. Okay, that should display the button. It won't currently open the GUI, but it should display the button. Oh yeah, I haven't gone into our usual testing world because unfortunate side effect of all of the overhauling is that basically every single spell in that world doesn't work anymore. Any spell that has been created before that overhaul system, when this new beta comes out, is going to break. Apologies for that, but I promise it's worth it. Dusty, are you about to say a simpy thing again? Okay, there we go. Doesn't do anything, but it's there. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but there isn't much I can do to fix that, I guess. One thing I could theoretically do is have a check to see if a check to see if an entity spell that is being loaded has like spell data in it. All of that will still be in memory, and then I can try and have that be added to the actual save data, like the world save data, when it loads, and then update itself that way, and then we'll have then it'll be able to like one time fix things, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. Correct prediction, that timing, yes, thank you very much. Yeah, that's our CR screen. The reason that your hotbar turns to buttons, by the way, is so that you can change what item you're currently holding, which might affect your challenge rating. But okay, we've gotten a button. Good, progress made. Next thing, have the button do something. But yes, thank you very much, Dusty. I did get my hair did today. Okay, on button event. Client player open GUI. Reference.gui GUI spells. And we don't need any meaningful data there at all. Complete button. Next up, make button pushable. Exactly. For a mod that ostensibly was created just to add cool modeled mobs, not even with anything like smart going for them, for a mod that was created as a skin pack for custom NPCs. We sure do have a lot of UIs these days. What would we do without the resident lying simp? I don't know. They won't leave. I get. Bit of a snowball effect? Yeah. I kept putting out versions with cool looking mobs and people kept wanting them to be more functional and do stuff without having to go all the way through building a map with custom NPCs. So we ended up with everything. We ended up importing Dungeons and Dragons. Essentially. Okay, now we need to add that to the GUI handler. So this would be GUI active spells. We have the bear, yes, good. Okay. Yes, we can return no. Good, just needed to check that. More or less, anything that you do in that screen should then just send a packet to the server to update the stuff. So, yay. Right, now we should be able to open that screen. Let's find out. I have been watching a lot of... Well, actually, this is a mild lie. I've been watching a bunch of Finster recently. F1 double NST3R, I think, whatever. Very weird, very weird spelling. Because I haven't really been watching him per se. I've been watching his live stream clips, because in his live streams he cross-dresses as a extremely well-passing girl called Rose, and just like he does things for like bets essentially that I find magical, that I would like to know how to do. But he has what's called like the Simp Council, and I confess I have looked up, I have tried to identify the Simp Council because I'd like to get onto their good side. Have I seen Technobabe? I have not. Well, I've seen... Do you mean like something Finn was dressed up as? Okay, well that does appear to have opened a screen. There's nothing in that screen, because we haven't actually got any spells going right now, but progress. I don't know who Technoblade is, but I have seen Rose dressed up as Technoblade. Okay, do I have my circle in here? Not so much, no. But I guess I can cast a Wall of Fire, can't I? So, let's get that out. Let's get ourselves a circle out as well, have ourselves multiples. Circle against evil, kindly. There you are. Just because circle against holy requires different ink on the ground. There we go. Very good. Okay, so now there should be spells because we own them. And I do not see it listed anywhere here. Okay. Also need to tell it to not pause the GUI. Okay. Get rid of those. Okay. Well, let's actually get the default background in, just so the screen turns darker, so we can identify it happening. And let's get an actual printout in our log here. It's a lot of fire. That's a ring of fire. A burning ring of fire, in fact. Do I know Philza? I've known Phils over the course of my life. So let's see if it's actually got anything to draw, and maybe, and if so, maybe that's why we're not seeing anything. The new generation of Minecraft players. Huh. Would I... There's a 4. Would I be classed as, like, one of the original gen? Am I old school? Do I count? I've been making Minecraft videos since, like, 2011, maybe, actually. So do I count as one of the OGs? Lord, imagine. Okay, we do have spells listing down here, we're just not seeing them on the screen. Okay. That's fine. That's what we needed to know. Shouldn't have used that. Well, I've got the greater one, I guess. Okay, so we changed up the coordinates here. We should figure out where the heck to put it.
Player has joined the game.
Yeah. Hey there. The Machinima era? Oh lord, that does take me back a fair bit. Oh boy, yeah. Is that still a thing? Is Machinima still a thing, that network? Oof. NAT? Like, Natural One? I'm... Oh right, I see. Dusty's having a reunion in the chat, and I thought you were asking me about people again. I know Natalie Roman over at Corridor. Well, I know of her, I should say. She's awesome. But anyways, so ostensibly, that should just be running it top right-ish. So if we then increment where we want to actually write that name, then... we should at least get them separated. But we verified, in fact, that we are getting a list of things. Crashed a year or two ago? Okay. Crashed and burned. Then again, there are very few big YouTuber networks that have not crashed and burned or don't nor deserve to crash and burn. Honestly. They seem a font of terribleness for the most part. Or maybe that's just the ones that get popular. Maybe getting popular requires on some level that you be kind of a douche. And then you get a bunch of douches together, and what you get is a lot of douchebaggery. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. I was about to say I'm not in a position to comment, but we've just established that I'm one of the longest running Minecraft YouTubers around. So, I guess I am in a position to talk about it. Wow. Okay, still not seeing it, interestingly enough. That might just be because I got it on the wrong layer. Come to think of it. Polaris, which was Disney's part. I remember hearing about that one. I haven't been part of a network since Maker released me. And I'll be honest, I don't remember getting any kind of advantage out of Maker either. Yep.
Here, Dusty, he'll give some money for you.
Oh, thank you for that. Out of quick curiosity, before I accidentally say something terrible, how do I pronounce that? Or do I just call you Nats? And also, with that, you're already in the top 3 of bit donors this month. Okay, that should hopefully work. Okay, that is fine. Just the way that I would initially think to pronounce that is, ooh.
Lying evil _ PM.
Aw, pumpkin witches. Do we see those in there? I guess we see those in there. Getting a lot of K-pop emotes lately, and I honestly do not know what a K-pop. I don't know what a single K-pop be. I only recently got an Instagram. Your tuition fees to pay? Oh boy, student debt. I have some of that. And by some, I mean more than I will ever pay back. But what else is new? Okay, can we see... No, interesting. Is that because our size is off? X size and Y size, but that's from us. Width, I guess. Yeah. Width. Don't think that's gonna change it right now, but hey, hope springs eternal. Nope. Okay. Sometimes it updates live if you're just doing client-side stuff, which is really helpful for developing stuff quickly. Other times, nope. Viewers, apparently, watching me program graphics. I'm so sorry. It's like the worst thing I could possibly be doing because Lord knows I suck at graphics. If you want me to make you like tiny dwarves that can like establish civilization, that I can do. Not here. This is the wrong mod for that. And that project is dead as a doornail because Lord knows I don't want to be associated with the people it was inspired by. But, you know, if... Break, dang it. This is good content? Okay. If you say so. You're the simp. Actually, there's a thought. I guess that means that Dusty's literally the entirety of the simp council. For my content, at least. Okay. No, we're still not seeing a name. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Oh, we're also not doing the super. That might also have something to do with it. Except there is no super. Okay, just checking. I suppose the easiest thing would be to just use the mouse X and mouse Y. So they'll just attach it to our cursor. We know that it knows about the spells at least. That's a start. Tie down with that word? Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm not genuinely much a fan of it myself. So I get you. It's just the thing that it's called, but yeah. Pog is specific to Twitch. That's the name of a extremely long-standing emote. Does it stand for play of the game? Huh. Didn't know that part. All I've known is that I have a visceral reaction to the word poggers, or anyone like saying pog as like actual phrasing, like something they literally say. My reaction to hearing, like, to seeing poggers is like, is that a word I can say? Oh no, Nat, what have you done? Come on. Dispel. Thank you. Since your default, the default caster level is -1, which counts as, what's the phrase? Which counts as being 20, like cast level 20. So, which meant the magic circle here had the same cast level up that the dispel magic I was trying to cast was. Which means occasionally it takes a couple of tries. Okay, so there's my magic circle, which looks sweet. Can we see any names at all? No? Huh? Interesting. I wonder why that is. We know that it's finding them. So why is it not showing us them? Am I accidentally calling a different thing here? No? That seems to be correct. Remember playing with Witchery trying to make a teleporter circle, unfortunately didn't get time to fully complete it. That was like day 1 for me. Like the big problem with Witchery as a like as a reliable like thing was you needed so many mods just to automate it, because you couldn't use rituals more than once a lot of the time. There was eventually a ritual to duplicate waystones and such, but actually automating it was a massive pain in the neck. You needed so much. Like, they made the grabber plants that could hold things for rituals hopper enabled, which was nice, but it wasn't nearly enough. So that just reminds me that you need to go back and watch Dungeon Maker. Oh, please do. Every time I come back here, I must do this again, because I don't have a spell that sticks around and affects me. Now I noticed there's a slight concern down here, which is, why does this say Force Cage? Did I leave a line in Spell Dispel that just says Force Cage, or is there something wrong? Yes, I did. Good. Okay, that's... Oh. If there was accidentally a Force Cage sticking around, oh, that would have been quite worrying. Anyways. There's gonna be a lot of trial and error until we can actually get visual proof that something's working, so apologies for that, everybody. No, I don't see it at all. Interesting. Does GUI pause game? Okay, that's the thing. One direwolf automated Britannia and Vazki was really annoyed, so he made it harder. Yeah. The thing I've learned about Minecraft players, especially modded Minecraft players, is that they will always find a way. Like, especially if you don't use GUIs, which is something that Vazki very much tries for Britannia. Vazki tries to make all of, like, as much of Britannia as possible in-world. But if you don't use GUIs, then all of your stuff is in blocks. If all of your stuff is in blocks, it's accessible by everything else that can interact with blocks. So they'll always find a way. People like me will always find a way. I crashed so many Chaosville servers just doing random stuff. We know it's finding the spells. Problem 1 fixed. Okay. We need to display the spells. It's the next problem. Oh, do I have any spells that describe themselves at least as affecting somebody else that's just around? Nope, because that's an extremely new feature. Using redstone to autocast spells on Witchery? Yeah. Like, it's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. I need a hand, I think. Nope, that. Thank you very much. There. Okay. Now you activate marked blocks. Thank you very much. Okay. The things that I do sometimes. That one? No? Did I hex something up here? Oh, game mode 0 at P, that's what I should be doing. You really enjoy the animation for the mage hand? Oh, cute. It's designed to be very much on the edge of creepy. And of course we have the hen of the mage as well, which is literally just a chicken model. Okay, now you should be able to do the thing, please. I just personally love the exclamation mark that shows up over the heads of mobs that get alerted. Okay, nothing here. Okay, I'll do some tinkering and see what I can get up and running after my next break. Well, actually no, I'm gonna go get a drink and then I'll come back and we can tinker with that. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes, everybody. welcome back, everybody. Also, Shinks, congrats on the fiancé. Apparently, I missed that piece. Okay, so we're currently trying to get a display of all of the active spells currently associated with our player from our inventory. Through that, we'll later be able to dismiss spells from wherever we want in the world and whenever, and we'll also be able to edit their functions again wherever, whenever, which will give us a dramatic increase in usability of a lot of different spells. But first, we need to actually have them display. So, yeah. That's the thing we're currently trying to figure out. Also, Dusty with the 2 different gift subs so far this stream. Thank you very much for that. 26 gift subs in this channel. Wow. Wow, Dusty. Wow. Okay. This is going to be difficult because unlike the control list in the configurable mobs, this list is going to be live. This is going to change as you are looking at it, potentially. If a spell gets dismissed, it needs to be removed from that list. If a spell gets cast on you whilst you're in your inventory screen, it needs to also be added. That sort of thing. So this is probably going to get reinstantiated quite a lot. But, I digress. We need to get our list of spells, which we need already quite there. So that's all of our spells. Now, we need to actually create our list entries. So spells.size is a good start. Okay, and then we need to actually have a class for holding those, which will have the optional dismiss button, the optional edit button, different things like a text field for changing the custom name and such, as well as, ideally at the very least, I feel an actual like display of time remaining. And I think another thing we could do after that is just like get a tooltip that shows the like the spell description. That feels like an important thing. Should see your count on Strife, so it's like 70. Wow. Got some catching up to do, I think. Okay, let's do the easy thing here. Let's not have this actually have any button controls at present. So let's actually just get ourselves that can probably stay at 0, so we don't need to worry about that too much. So we just need the spell data. Okay. Can't believe that Dusty has single-handedly brought free people into the Lion community. I mean, that's kind of how my job works, so... what's your complaint here? Why you complain? Huh? Am I missing a back split? That can't be right. Oh, right there. Okay. So draw entry. For that, we want to actually draw a name. I want to draw the custom name of our thing with this. There you are. I see your default width figure is. Do I have height? Slot height, yes. That implies I'm a god. Eh. Oh, what is J? What is J in that equation? What value is J? It's a color. Okay, fine. Will you be able to name will you be able to custom name all spells, or is this mod info side? You mean client side, or what? I know what you mean. But yes, they'll start out with no custom name. Their name will just be the spell. But in this screen, if you own a spell, you'll actually be able to like rename it. Which has the very entertaining situation that that's part of the spell data's MBT data. The same MBT data that gets sent to all other players. So you can curse somebody and rename the curse spell FU, for instance, or get hecked or such. Like, you can... That is a thing that you can do. You can personalize your curses, as it were. God, what else? I need an example, I think, for this. What else uses that? Key bindings use that. Key entry. There you are. Okay. But they just have buttons. Dang. Kind of annoying there. Multiplayer? Does that have one? Not really, no. Oh. Server selection list. That sounds about right. There we go. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Right there. Are people able to see custom names for spells that aren't curses? Yes. There's no distinction. There's nothing specific to curses about that. You can rename any spell. As long as you own it. Nope. Would help if I could spell Minecraft after 8 goddamn years. Okay, if this works, then currently the only thing we'll be able to see is, just the name. But that's a start. Okay, don't need that, don't need that. Might do that in a second, actually, come to think of it. Because there's the list. Mouse clicked, mouse released. Draw screen, there you are. don't think we need that part anymore. Unless it's mandatory, of course. Okay, good. Let's get ourselves an update as well. So, how frequently do we want to update this? Because updating this like everything is probably going to be kind of hefty. I'm just gonna say once a second for the time being. It's probably not even necessary. I'm probably overthinking this. I'm just imagining two people cursing each other and just like having a back and forth through the names. Just like instead of text chat or something. God, that'd be hilarious. 5 friends watch as Lion types some text and makes the cubes go vroom. That's the intro sequence, isn't it? The world's most roundabout mail system. I mean, the thing about that, though, is that it would literally be the most secure form of information, like that would be the most secure way to transfer information between two players. Because you wouldn't have to use the server, you wouldn't have to use the server chat in any fashion. You wouldn't have to use you wouldn't have to use private messages. Like, there would be absolutely no way for anyone to intercept that. The only way they could do that would be if they had access to the actual server's data. Like the save data, no less. Oh. Okay. Heck willing, this now does a thing. Let's find out. Another gifted sub from Dusty. Thank you very much.
A new challenger approaches.
Oh, welcome. I mean, I think you just got gifted a sub, so I hope you stuck around. Alright, you're not set to receive that. There you go. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, we've got a thing. This is technically progress. Two spies communicate only through curses, yeah. Exactly. Ah, okay. Progress is made. Specifically because that's the last 2 characters of the spell that should be shown here, so we know this is working now. Okay. Let me just see here. Yeah, this is basically what we want to start with. We want to start with, like, the name of, like, actual space to, like, change it, and then buttons on the right-hand side. That's basically what we want. I guess in theory, then, we could take a whole bunch of code out of the key binding menu. So if we check down here in the entry, let's see, update position, mouse released, mouse pressed, draw, key binding lists, MC, run around a drawstring, that's yada yada, yes, good, okay. What value is different here? Not seeing anything regarding its, like, depth of any kind. Okay, where does this get called? Key binding list, okay. And the last inputs, we're looking for the draw part. Is this part of, yep, GUI screen, so it's the same as ours. There's a bunch of different stuff, but that's fine. It's odd not seeing Lang stream end at 5. Well, what is time in 2020? That's just holdover from the control code, we don't need that. That's also holdover from the control code, we don't need that. This all seems fine, as near as I can tell. But just to be on the safe side, let's grab this and see if that renders differently. If it does, then I know where the problem is. What are the values given up here? Let's see, width is controls width dot plus 45, height is controls height by itself, okay, right. Oh, oh. It's 63, height minus 32, okay. This will mostly stretch it across the majority of the screen. Height minus 32. We don't want it to actually look like the key binding screen when we're done with it, but for right now we just want to get this working at all. Okay. Which button? This button. Are you allowed to say hell? I mean, technically, I'm a Gnostic atheist, so I don't think there's a problem with that, but, you know, be kind. What's the absolute minimum I can put at this? An ID, X, Y, and button text. Okay. did it again. I just can't spell Minecraft tonight, apparently. Just can't do it. Cannot be done. What is the max list label then? If J is greater than that, then that equals J, because oh, okay, it's just the maxed out of the whole list. Okay. We'll just say that's 150 then. So yeah, we've done a lot of tedious but extremely powerful things over the past few weeks, haven't we? It's like we figured out marking, we figured out getting pets working again, and then we figured out configurable mob AI, so that you can tell them what you want them to do, as well as we also made a completely generic UI, so we just give them one of the, we just give it a configurable mob and it just creates the whole thing. Doesn't matter what it is, so we just have to, make it once, essentially. And it works for everything. And now we're working on active spells, which is itself a massive overhaul. It's like, oh. Can we tell them we love them? Yes, I love you, Hand. Hand is indifferent. Oh, right, yes, I keep forgetting, you're... The hand that was here when I last loaded this is bound to a different player UUID, so it despawned and this is a fresh one, and by default they don't activate blocks. No, activate blocks, come on, I told you. Thank you. Okay, recast this. Get you to activate that, thank you. Give it a second. Hey, we got something down here. Good start, good start. So if I cast Wall of Fire, is that going to show up as well? There's Polar Ray, Wall of Thorns. Where's Wall of Fire? There's Wall of Fire. Wall of Flame! There we go. Okay. I should just be using wands, really, shouldn't I? It'd be much easier. Give it a moment. 2 spells! Success! Okay, we don't have any of their buttons, but 2 spells! In theory, can we retexture the hat? Yes, it'll always be semi-transparent, but yes, you can retexture it. Okay, make it deactivate itself with commands. Go push that button that turns you off. No, you can't do that. I guess in theory, you could rig some method of casting a spell, but want to make it look like a little bird? 1 second. Oh, wrong screen. That's the screen I want. One bird. That is a long-standing joke. Because the spell is called Mage Hand. And before we had the actual Mage Hand model, I just used a chicken because they'll take basically anything. So then we had the hen of the mage. So, yeah, we have a chicken. And it has every bit the same functionality. It just looks like a chicken and clucks. So, yes, you can absolutely have a small bird instead of a hand. In fact, there's a fair few people on my patron server that have the hens. Can I explain Shameball to like the 5 new people? I feel like Fuzz would be better for that. Only Fuzz knows why Shameball happened. Only Fuzz can truly explain the Shameball. But long story short, I made a terrible pun. So then Fuzz went and got our mixing bowl for like making cakes and stuff, and put it on my head. And it just became the Shameball. This was like 4 years ago, at least, so I don't remember the exact context. But it happened. So anyway, we've gotten ourselves a list. We can't scroll currently because we don't have any actual interaction with the mouse, but that's a start. So let's actually get ourselves a interaction with the scroll. Let's see, update position, all that's fine. Aptitude visuals already open. Let's bring that over to here. So basically we just need to get all of this stuff in here. I should probably initialize that to begin with, just rather than waiting the initial second. What should we call this? Initialize list, I guess? Thing. If you're gonna do the same thing twice, you might as well put it in a function. There, that just should ensure that it's never null, which would cause a crash. So, yeah. Let's see. Buttons. Yep. We are going to have to add a button to go back to your inventory screen. Just as a courtesy, it's a pain in the neck, otherwise. Okay, that should be all that we need there. Okay, let's see if that lets us scroll. I don't know that it will, but we'll find out. Night, Burbits. Night, Net. What if the hand could hold the chicken? You can have a mage hand hold a hen of the mage item. It will not render as the hen itself. But if you got, like, a chicken statue from, I think it's Open Blocks or something, you could absolutely have a mage hand hold that. Yeah, so one of these is going to go away in a hot second. Because it's no longer has an owner. There you go. We already did that. Okay, scroll circle against evil. Oh, we had an edit button there for a second. Interesting. Okay, can we scroll? We cannot currently scroll, but that might just be because we only got the one thing down here. I'm guessing... I'm guessing it's showing up way up there by sheer virtue of the fact that we're trying to put it inside of here and it's just rendering inside of that. At a guess. But I don't off the top of my head know anything to display those properly otherwise. I prefer to have them be in like at least two separate columns, but I guess if they're a full like if I guess if they're just full apart, then it gives us more room to actually show stuff. But let me just see if this is going to update live. Nope, no it isn't. Okay, fine. I just want to add a bit more information into here and also make sure it actually always is on the side there. Which it currently clearly isn't. Let's see, plus 90 minus 150 would be minus 40, wouldn't it? So let's just have that be at x. X plus 10. Okay, so active time, which is how long the spell has been active for, would be equal to Minecraft, get Minecraft, world, I want to call that spell, yep. Total world time minus data in, well, data dot cast time. So that's how long it has been active. If we then get the duration from that, so get spell duration, caster level is stored in the data, and subtract from that the active time, then we get something we can actually show on this screen that will be of meaningful value to people. So let's see, item spell container has the thing I'm looking for under its tooltip. Where are you? Let's see, formatted duration, there you are. So, string duration. Could help if I wrote string instead of Stein. Which would be time formatted. There you are. Yep, there you are. That's what I'm looking for. The VO helper function, which is the thing I had to rework recently. And then we just draw that. Okay, so that should show us a little extra. Yeah, I think the only way I could figure these out would be to move the actual buttons. We could also really do a Minecraft value in here. Everywhere that we do that, we can just replace with MC. Look how many times we do that. Ugh. Again, if you need to do it more than twice, you probably should just put it in a variable. Deprecation's fine as long as it's not broken, essentially. Okay. So now it should actually tick down, essentially. Oh, that will update live, no problem. So let me see, what's the next thing? I need to fix the button. There needs to be a button per each of these. So, what uses that? That has buttons. GUI button. Okay, that's a start. How do you do? X position, Y position, all zeros. Okay. Width, height, and name. Okay, good start. Aha! X and Y. There we are. Changes it so it updates the position of the button when it is rendering. Gotcha. Nested screens is a hell of a thing, so... and yes, then it draws them. Good. Okay. Let's give that a shot and see if it puts them in the right place now. I have only the barest of ideas as to where exactly that button's going to render, but probably going to be overlapping each other. Is it always a left hand or a right hand, and can you flip it? It is currently only, it's currently only a right hand. Flipping it theoretically would be as simple as, like, inverting the X scaling, but there's not really much need to. And currently the difference between a hand and a hen is just a data value. A damage value, in fact, on the item, so... I do like watching that spin out, it's so nice. Okay. We do have buttons, and we do have duration remaining, which is ticking down gradually. Yay! This is really hecked up, but it's a start. Grand. Okay. So still need to figure out scrolling. Also, ideally need to get this across the entirety of the screen. And then it's just a matter of hooking these buttons up properly to the spells, and adding values in the spells to say what happens if someone tries to dismiss you or edit you, that sort of thing. Dismiss should be fairly straightforward, we just call cancel, essentially, same as dispelling it. But hey, that's good progress. That's very good progress. Doesn't look like it, but code rarely does. It is very rare that extreme levels of progress in programming looks like it at the time. But hey, yay. I could probably maybe change this. I don't think this is gonna change on this screen for you guys, but let me see if I can tinker at a quick moment. Width and height, okay, good. Nope, doesn't look like it will, but I'll probably plug this in quickly anyways. Remember, it's regenerating this like every second. Taking off now? Well, that's fine, because we are done for the evening. I don't have time to do pretty much anything else. I will reboot this just so we can see that slightly tidied up version. But yeah, so as long as we change the positions of the buttons according to the X and Y values coming into draw entry, we'll be able to get our buttons on each individual related slot. Good. But yeah, I feel like I prefer to have different columns, but... I don't know. I think it's probably fine if we just have the full thing. But yeah, how do we want to manage the active spells? Do we want to just delineate them between, like, here's all the ones you can control and here's all the ones that are affecting you, that sort of thing? How do you want to handle that? Should those be the two columns is the next question. So we have one column of things you can modify and one column of things you can't, that sort of thing. Okay, let's... Bloop. Where are you at? There you're at. Circle against evil. Ooh, actually, let's cast Ball of Fire as well. Okay, now do the thing. Thank you. So, yep, we've got individual buttons. We can't see all of them quite yet, but working on it, working on it. Got the time ticking down, we got dismiss buttons. I'm presuming edit is under there somewhere as well. It's probably under this one. But yes, individual buttons with time readout and everything. So yay. That's good. That's progress. That is a good start. But okay, right. Could you just quickly do that so I can get rid of this thing, please? No? Come on. That one. Thank you. There we go. I should probably do something about the particles over here. They're a little bit on the laggy side. Anyways, that's all that we have for the time being. So, hope you've enjoyed. My next stream is on Thursday. We have some Among Us. We'll be playing with the World of Madness crew this time around. And then on Friday, we have some more Dead Space. I think we're getting close to the end of that one. I'm not sure. Then on Saturday we have the carousel with the patrons playing random games and talking about what went down in the week. Oh, actually, wait. No, we don't. Of course. Because this Saturday is Halloween. which means we have the Halloween Scream. There is a poll currently on my Twitter for how we'll conduct it this year, and the results of that will greatly impact what we show. But we'll be showing some horror movies from 9 p.m. GMT right here on Saturday, so pop along, enjoy. And then we'll be back to continue working on the active spells list for Tuesday night. Meanwhile, I do make videos over youtube.com/RumorComic. I haven't had any in the last week or two because our kitchen has been getting dismantled and reassembled in a more efficient form. But rest assured there will be videos in the near future. And everything I do is powered by you at Patreon, at patreon.com/lying, which Moobot just put in chat for you all. So I hope you've all enjoyed. I'll catch you all as ever next time. Did you seriously just start the Stream Deck? Play some music at least when you're gonna end the stream. Come on. Oh yes, Carol has a hat. You'll see Carol wearing a